here's the Darius build. Now let's get right into the game. Yo, what's up guys, it's Talon. So today we're going to be showing you guys how to play the best top laner in the entire game, which is Darius. And quite frankly, he may just be the best or one of the best champions in the entire game, especially after stuff like Amumu and Camille nerfs. Darius is just overall really strong right now. A large reason why he's so strong is just because he has such good tank killing capabilities, and he's quite tanky, so he's just really versatile right now. He's a decent blind pick champion. However, I do recommend him more as a counter pick whenever you see a beefier Baron laner. But again, you can definitely still blind pick him, and in most matchups, you're going to be pretty fine. Most of the time, you're going to start second ability on Darius in the level 1. Now, some people will go for the first ability, and they'll do this just to kind of sustain and play more around their level 2. But a lot of times, you can do things like I am here, which is just get a bit of stacks and kind of play more aggressive play for that trading to try to zone people off the early levels. And then on level 2, level 3, you can start to have bigger trades. Generally, you're always looking for all-ins on Darius. That's really the main thing that you're looking for. That's why you take the Ghost alongside Flash. That's why you have the Nimbus Cloak. You really need to have that movement speed to be able to all-in people, and that's kind of the main thing. So here you're going to see we're just going to grab our first ability once we level up. And we're going to go for some poke on them. So that's really the main thing. Just kind of trying to create an all-in opportunity through these level advantages is usually what I'm trying to do. That's why I want the lane slightly pushing, like you can see here. And then if nothing really happens, I'm totally fine with just recalling on my boots. But you can see here, because we do get a little bit of a trade there, we can even get the first ability. He ends up going on a minion on accident, so we're going to ghost at him, make him flash. You can see anytime you get a couple stacks on someone, if they overextend, you're going to be able to do things like ghost straight onto them and blow their flash for just an early little advantage that you can get there. But yeah, overall, normally I will rush boots on Darius, but when I'm into tanks who kind of deal mixed damage, or just tanks where I'm not that worried about damage, I might rush Trinity Force. For a lot of champions, you go Sunderer when you're into tankier champions, but not Darius. Darius, you always go Trinity Force as your first full item, simply because the movement speed is too valuable. You just never really gonna veer away from that. You're always gonna do that. And then if you do need anti-heal, you can go for Mortal Reminder. I would say Mortal Reminder can often be a really good item that you're going to put as your third item if you need anti-heal. But otherwise, you could go for Bramble Vest if you feel it's going to be better for your game too. It's kind of up to you. Both are good options. Totally fine to do either. Or it just depends on the game. And then here again, you see how we just try to get that hook. If we don't get it, it's fine. We'll just back off with that lane priority. So again, notice how we kind of built up a decent wave. We stack that wave. Then once we crash it, we look for a recall. Maokai does stop our back there though, so we got to stay for another wave. But we don't really mind. You're pretty tanky. You're a pretty good split pusher too as Darius, which is something that I want you guys to keep in mind as well. You actually push turrets really fast if you auto attack and then second ability as an auto reset. You can absolutely shred through turrets, so you have that good split pushing capability. And then once you get to a team fight when you're quite fed, you're just going to absolutely pop off. But really overall, the main thing you need to understand on Darius is just your limits, which just comes with time. So if you're going to like start learning Darius, you're trying to get better at him, really focus on figuring out when your ultimate will execute people, which means if you think your ult is really close to executing, but you're not sure if it does, try it, and you might mess up and then end up, not seeing an execute, and then it kind of sucks for that game. But it lets you know the damage better overall, and it's going to be better in the long run. So really, the big thing about Darius is he has really high limits. He's really a limit testing champion. So you need to get those limits down, and then you can start reeling it back once you've been more aggressive and kind of made those silly mistakes. But that's really the main thing to understand. And then again, we're pretty much just playing to get a little bit of an advantage in lane and see if we can ever find an all-in opportunity. If we're not able to find an all-in opportunity, I'm fine with just going even, because you do scale quite well on Darius. Again, here, notice how I'm always kind of just trying to keep that prio. I also have Ghost and Flash, so I'm pretty good at escaping. Like, obviously, it really helps with the all-in, but the Ghost Flash means it's pretty hard to gank me as well. So I'm pretty, happy most of the time to just push the wave like that. And then now that I push the wave, I'm looking for a potential roam into the mid lane. Just because I have a bit of time, I can use that prio to maybe go help my team, do something. Nothing ends up coming out of it, but again, it's just the idea that we had. Just clear the ward and then go back now. And all that I really lose from this is one minion. And I had the potential for a really big play that could kind of turn the game in our favor. So instead, we just lose one minion. Oh well, I don't really mind. And we again just look for this all in if we can find it with the hook. So we end up hooking in the Maokai, going for a trade. You see how they first ability, that's their third ability? I think it's the third ability, whatever ability it is. They use it to kind of close the gap on us. So that is one thing as well to keep in mind. A lot of champions have ways to kind of go inside of your first ability and then not get you won't get the damage off. And so you kind of have to understand, like in different matchups, what ability that is. and play around that if you can. Now into Maokai, I'm kind of fine with just, you know, taking those trades with him to get that prio, get the lane pushing. Now we just take our recall and we don't rotate here. So you're going to notice how I do not rotate. Now you might be asking why. The main reason I don't think that I want to rotate in this situation is because my team's not necessarily winning on the other side. So if Maokai goes and I go, Maokai's probably going to do good CC. He's a pretty good team fighter. He's going to get fine value there, and we're probably going to lose the fight anyway because the Mbessa and the Yuumi are going to be, you know, popping off together. And so I decide I'm going to get an advantage for myself because now if Maokai rotates, my team's probably going to lose, but I'm going to give myself, you know, potential to get really strong and kind of start scaling up really well with my gold. And if Maokai didn't rotate, then I would just be in lane with him. I'd be fine with just matching him as well. And so here you're going to see it ends up going pretty bad, the fight for my team. They do get the shutdown on Mbessa, but most of them die. But you can see the gold's not that bad. We're only down 1,000 gold despite being down 4 kills as a team. And a lot of that comes from my gold advantage I'm getting here. Look how fast we push turrets again, and I'm going to get this entire turret. So we're going to get first turret, which is in and of itself basically an objective, because that's essentially what you would use the Herald for anyway. So I get the first turret. I get a big gold lead on myself, and now I'm in a position to potentially help my teammate out at the objective. Now we're going to look and see if we can do anything, mostly just play to give him vision since we probably don't have an angle to actually all in. But we're going to go over the wall here and see if we can hook anyone over the wall. You're going to see we hook Mbessa over the wall there, and then I believe she goes over the wall, so we end up flashing to try to get our stacks onto her. Because again, if you have those stacks up, you're going to do a lot of damage. I don't think we get the ult off though. We do get the ult off onto her, and I think she ends up dying to my bleed as well. So yeah, she dies to my bleed there. So you can kind of see how we had that prio. We're able to then rotate, help our teammate. We use the wall to hook her over the wall, make her have to use some of her spells to run away, play around those 5 stacks, get that ultimate. We don't quite execute, but she dies to the bleed. And that's what I mean. Sometimes you're not going to know, do I kill, do I not? And definitely take kind of the risk, I would say, if you're learning Darius, because I am newer to Darius as well. I've probably only played about 10 games of him. Going for Protobelt here, usually Protobelt's the best option because, again, that mobility and sticking onto someone is really the key to your champion as a whole. But yeah, overall here, we're not doing the best so far as a team, but we have a pretty good gold lead at least, even if it came partially because the Maokai ends up rotating. But we end up getting a lot of turrets here. Notice how my team's already gotten top and bot turret, and now we're getting this mid turret as well. We end up hooking the Mbessa out of the thing, which was pretty nice. Again, we missed the ultimate. That's where the damage thing comes in, and that's why, again, I don't mind showing you guys, like, I don't know these limits perfectly. I'm not the best Darius player on the planet. By, you know, no shape or form am I the best Darius player. But I don't understand these limits, and so I'm testing it. When I think I'm close to executing, I'm going to try it. That's how you're going to figure out champs. That's how you're going to get better at them. But despite that, you're still going to see, again, the same gameplay. We're looking really to just stick onto someone whenever we can, and it's pretty much just about killing that one person and then using those resets. You know, he's a pretty straightforward champion, Darius is. It's literally just target whoever's in front of you. If you can stick onto them easily, get an execute, win the game. You know, that is pretty much what Darius does. And so again, you can see how much of a gold lead. I'm up like 2k gold on this Maokai through those rotations, through playing around those turrets, everything like that. And so I'm very strong. I'm going to continue to play around my side lane advantage. And then again, I'm always pushing out the side lane and then rotating rather than rotating before pushing out the side, because I do care about my own advantage. Now, if there's a really important objective, maybe I'll go for that. But most of the time, I'm going to just first get a side lane advantage, get some type of advantage, and then push that. It totally depends on the game. Sometimes your team might be carrying you really hard, and you might just need to rotate just to be a body, just to be tanky. And that's a nice thing. Darius has some CC. He's pretty tanky, and so you can still fulfill that role if you need to. And then here you're going to see I'm going to try to go onto him. I barely missed the Ziggs. He gets his second ability off just in time. In hindsight, I should have kind of baited out his second ability and just kept running at him and then Protobelt after, but, you know, it's not the end of the world. I think we end up flashing onto him here. I don't remember if we end up not going for it. And so now I'm mostly just playing for my Sterix because I'm pretty close to Sterix. But we want to see if we can maybe go onto the Maokai, maybe get gold, just do something. Just whatever way I can get a little bit of gold onto myself is really the main objective here at this point. And so we end up going for the Scuttle, as you can see. And now I'll be relatively strong for the fight, so it's not a bad idea to maybe rotate to the Dragon fight if we see an angle, just because I am pretty strong. If I'm hitting that 2-item spike, like this is a really big spike for you. And then you can kind of go 2 ways after this. You can either go for a tank item, tank item, third item after you finish Sterix, or you can go for Mortal Reminder for more damage and anti-healing. A lot of times Mortal Reminder is going to be really, really nice for just hard carrying the game, but you're going to be a bit squishier. So it's kind of, you know, I go back and forth between which I prefer. overall, I would say a lot of times I prefer Mortal. But if I just want to be tankier, especially say I fall behind or whatever, or they don't have very much healing, then I'll go for that. And so the Ambessa ends up wasting her time on us when the objective's coming up, so we end up stalling. Good Ash arrow there as well. And then notice here how we're just going to kind of try to bait her in and waste her time. Like, I'm pretty happy to just waste her time and walk at her here, because I know the objective is on the other side. So even if I ended up dying here, I wouldn't really mind if that meant we got the dragon for free. So I'm just going to straight up try to fight her here, try to find the all-in angle. And instead we end up not all-inning her, but we get the free dragon off of all of our distraction. And I'm able to flash here, and now we're able to do some nice stuff as well. Unfortunately, Maokai uses his shield, so we're not able to get the reset. You're going to see a few times, definitely one of my biggest mistakes this game was not waiting for the Maokai shield. A couple times the Maokai shield's going to end up stopping my reset. Again, Ambessa tries going on us, but you're a really tanky champion as Darius, so I'm going to end up being fine there. And then my Vi gets a nice engage. We end up hooking the Yuumi and killing the Yuumi as well. So again, you can notice just how tanky you are, how much damage you have. You're really, really good again at sticking onto those front lines. So anytime you see a lot of front line, blocking in Darius is going to be amazing. Anyone who's really easy to stick onto, like Mundo, for example. Those types of champions I'm pretty happy to play against in general. And then a little bit about the combos as well. A lot of times you're going to be using your third ability to hook someone in. Then you're going to auto attack. Then second ability and auto attack again for the auto attack reset. And then you can use your first ability because they're going to be slowed by your second ability. But you can also just third ability and then first ability immediately after to guarantee landing your first ability. So there's a couple different things you can do there. And then obviously ultimate, typically when you have more stacks on people and you think you're going to get the reset, you can just ult for straight damage. Maybe like you could ult to get 5 stacks. Like say you're on 4 stacks and you need to get to that 5th stack. You can sometimes ult even if you're not going to get the reset. Not always the best play, but in some scenarios it can be useful. Kind of just depends. But overall, Darius is a pretty straightforward champion, honestly. Run at people, like I am doing here. And we end up trying to see if we can get the kill. We do get the kill onto the Ziggs. Again, you can see how I'm not sure about the reset. And so I very easily could have done my first ability right away there and then gone for the reset. But again, I'm going to test these things because these are the types of things you need to figure out on a champion who's so reliant on getting resets. You need to fail the resets in order to understand the exact damage rather than just trying to hope that you're trying to be safe. Like, you'd actually rather be sorry than safe instead of be safe than sorry in terms of the ultimate damage when you're first learning the champion. And that's how you got to go about improvement, especially on a champion like Darius. And I know I've said it multiple times. I just really want to reiterate it because this is the difference between good players and really good players, is they're going to test these types of things and they're going to always go for those limits initially. And then once they understand the limits, they're not going to keep limit testing 24/7 because that's going to be trolling. Once you understand those limits, you have to start playing around those limits. But initially, again, you really have to understand that. That's going to be one of the biggest things for your guys' improvement just as a whole. And then here I'm fine with going to the side lane because we have the gate. And so if I need to teleport to my team, I know I can get there. Darius doesn't need to be at the start of every fight because he's obviously focused around resets. And so that means that if I can go onto the side lane and have, you know, the potential to find a late flank angle, I'm fine with that. I don't need to be in the fight right away. Totally fine with me, right? So again, you just see here, we go around, we play for the turret. We end up, you know, just being able to go and auto the turret pretty easily. I can recall for my item if I need to, or I can go teleport if my team ends up needing me really quickly. And so I believe we see the fight, so we end up trying to go to the gate now. Again, to find that late flank angle, and that's kind of the nice thing you can do, as I kind of spoke about. And you have the Ghost, Protobelt, Flash, all to close the gap and look for a potential reset, which is exactly what we end up doing here. We Ghost pretty early to just try to get onto her. I tried to ult her, but unfortunately Ziggs, our Jhin, killed her right before. So we don't get the reset, but it's fine because if someone dies like that, your ult will come off cooldown really quickly. I think it's like 5 seconds. So, you know, you can go for things like that and it's not as big of a deal anymore. We end up going for the Ziggs. That was a pretty weird interaction there, but it worked out. I was thinking about flashing onto the Ambessa, but without my third ability, it didn't really make sense. But we got the nice kill there. And then here, we're going to hook her over the wall again, utilizing those walls really nicely. Playing around my stacks, I have the Sterix, which is really nice, and then we get the double kill there. And so again, that Sterix a lot of times surprises people, and you got to be aware of the fact that you got the Sterix to get that extra value and potentially bait people into giving you stacks, because they're going to be like, oh, I can kill this Darius. No, you can't. I'm about to kill you because I'm going to get to those stacks, and you're going to think you had more damage than you did. And we get that double kill onto the Ambessa and Yuumi, and now we're very fed. At this point, I can kind of just walk up to team fights. I can walk at people. They're going to be quite scared of me, and we're going to get really easy resets. I have Nimbus Cloak as well, as we showed in the runes. And that means my Ghost is going to make me even faster. After I flash, I'm going to be fast. And just those two things overall mean that I can gap close really well. So that's another thing to keep in mind, is that you're going to have that movement speed after using an ability, or after using a summoner spell rather. And because we have a little downtime, I'm just going to take a camp here. Why not get some free gold? It starts lagging for about 10 to maybe 30 seconds. I don't know exactly. We'll skip through if there's nothing important. I don't think we're actually fighting here. I think it lags one time during a fight, so you guys will see a little bit of lag. So I'm sorry about that, but it's not the end of the world. But either way, we end up trying to go. I missed my E flash, so that was a bit bad. But if you guys didn't know, you can use your third ability and then you can flash. And if you don't miss it like me, it works out quite nicely. So keep that in mind as well in terms of the combos. But yeah, now that we got the Baron, we got the Dragon, we're just going to go push out a side lane. We wasted a lot of ultimates there trying to chase them down. And so I'm not going to overextend now. Like, because we wasted so much, we wasted our Flash and Ghost, I don't really want to be overfighting if I don't have to. So I'm just going to push out a side lane. If my team dies, they die. There's no objective up, so I'm not too worried about it. Elder's not up for 2 minutes. We already have the Baron. Might as well just get some free gold here instead of trying to overforce and potentially throwing the game. So yeah, again, we just go for this inhib here to get that pressure potentially. Oh wait, I int here. I forgot about that, chat. Yo, you didn't see this, guys. You didn't see this. Nobody saw that. Again, there's always one nobody saw that moment for every video. I forgot that I did that. It's funny because I was talking about how I shouldn't do anything stupid, and then I did something stupid. But you know, again, you didn't see that. Nobody was watching. Would have been pretty cool if I killed him there. I'm pretty sure I would just die after, but you never know. Maybe I would have penta'd. Maybe there was a crazy vision that you guys just didn't see. Who knows? Either way, we end up inting there. We'll skip through because there's not really much to watch here. My Ashe ends up getting ran down, but survives the Ambessa. And now we're back alive. It's like nothing ever happened. And again, you might be wondering why I'm on this side of the map. The main reason is because the fight's probably going to be around Elder. Elder and Baron are spawning at very similar times. Usually people fight over Elder first, and so that means that I'm going to want to push out the opposite side of wherever the main objective is going to be in order to have someone have to respond to this side of the map. And then someone having to respond means that I get to rotate before them, which is really nice for me, and so that's kind of what I'm looking for. Again, having that initial push makes it really nice. I'm going to ward the Baron so that if they do try to sneak the Baron, I have vision on it. Here you can see a little bit of lag again. I'm sorry about that, but yeah, the Wi-Fi was being a little weird during this part of the stream. I believe it's mostly fine though. It's just like small stutters. So it's a little annoying, but hopefully you guys can still get some value out of this. And then here we end up just proto-belting onto Maokai, getting his flash right before the objective, which is really important. That's a really nice thing as well. You can blow people's, summoners right before fights. Obviously going to be very useful. And then here we're just, again, sitting over the wall, going onto the Maokai here, and we get the ult onto him, but he does use the gargoyle again, bait us with the gargoyle, so we just kind of run at him at that point. And now we just go onto onto their backline with our Vi. We end up killing their entire backline, but Ambessa kills our entire backline as well. And so the nice thing is, I am pretty strong. If Ambessa goes on me, we're probably chilling. But because my Vi is pretty low health here, we're kind of just trying to relax, let her recall, and wait for her to come back. If we can find an all-in angle on Ambessa, maybe we go for it, but it's more likely I'm going to want to push the wave first and then go on to the Elder. We know where she's not going to one-shot the Elder. Her burst damage is not absurd, so I'm going to push out that wave first. And then this gives my Vi time to come. And so now that my Vi is here, I can find a potential all-in angle. And so we see that the Ambessa goes, tries to go forward there. Our Vi tries to go for her, and we just get the hook onto Ambessa. At that point, we already build up 3 stacks, 4 stacks, 5, and we get the ultimate, and boom, we get that double kill. So again, that patience is really nice. Instead of trying to force right away onto that Ambessa before Vi was up, we kind of let Vi come. Now that Vi's there, we're rather safe. We're in a good spot and pretty straightforward there. Now we end up proto-belting, getting this Ziggs with the ultimate. I think I missed it. Yeah, I don't end up hitting him. He dies to my stacks, though. I forgot about that. And so now we go on to the Maokai. We hook him right before we get the ultimate with the execute. And we're 14-1-6 all of a sudden. So I'm not the best Darius player. I don't claim to be. We're learning this champion. But I still wanted to show you guys a video on kind of how to play this champion, since he is pretty straightforward, and a lot of the things I got to understand are more just like the mechanical things. Also, I tried to kill this guy at the end, bro. I was so close, man. I was so close. But yeah, this champion, really, really strong right now overall, really good, especially in the tanks, and really just focus on testing those limits and figuring out what you can about the champion if you're trying to get good at Darius yourself. As always, as a Sovereign rank 5 autofill player, I do coaching, so if you're interested in coaching, just DM me on Discord, Talon1169, or through the link in the description. It's just $15 an hour for that. I have memberships on my YouTube channel as well, where you get access to YouTube videos early, you get access to coaching notes, and some other cool things like that. But yeah, as always, I hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you in the next video.